Hey everyone, this is Nicole from Nicole Watson Art, and I am excited to bring to you today a tutorial to create holiday cards using some amazing graphics products. I had this idea in mind, but before I began to create the cards, I needed to do a test run using the blues of the acrylic ink that I had because I wasn't quite sure which blue I was going to want to use in the end. I'm doing my little test run here on the matte Dura-Lar material, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit when I officially use it. I wasn't planning on recording my test run, but in the middle of it I thought, I should probably put my little camera card in my camera and record a little bit of this because it's really fun to see all of these different blues. Once they were dry, I kind of sorted through them, looked at them, and decided which blue I wanted to officially use for my card. I knew that I was also going to use some splattering of white and gold, so I kind of tested that as well. This is a print that I made with the computer graphics, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. I just sprinkled some of the gold and white on it to kind of test these blues out to decide which color I wanted to use. Once I narrowed down a color or two, I grabbed my matte Dura-Lar film and got to work. It was a hard decision, but my favorite was this indigo blue color. It's an acrylic ink, and all of the ones that I tested as well were acrylic inks that are permanent on this matte Dura-Lar film. I really love how this film takes the ink and the water. I kind of had a process here where I just repeated steps over and over again until I got the marbling kind of starry night look that I wanted in my background. I dropped some of the ink down, added water, splattered some of the ink at full strength, added water, pulled some of it away. It was a process. Sometimes when it puddles up too much, I grab a paper towel and pull some of the extra water away. And one of the things I really like doing was adding some full strength of the ink directly onto my paintbrush and splattering it on to get that darker color spread throughout. If it got a little bit too dark, I added water to it. If the water got too puddly, I pulled some of it away with a paper towel. If it got too light, I added more ink to it. It was just really a back and forth process to get that background look. I wanted it to kind of look like a starry night, throw back to Van Gogh, but also just a really cool sky with my concept of the words and the stars that I wanted to use for the next layer on top of this card. This matte Dura-Lar film takes ink and pencil and a whole bunch of different materials. If you hop over to the Grafix website, they have a whole bunch of information about their films and the different ways that you can use them. But if you grab one of these large pads, I think it's like 25 sheets, you have a whole lot to test out just like I did. And now I have a lot of extra little test sheets, I guess, that I can use as layers in my mixed media in future projects. Another thing that I did that was really helpful is I let this dry a little bit in between my layers before adding more ink to it. And I also grabbed a pipette to pick up some of the pools of water that were on my background sheet and also on the top to spread them out. Now I couldn't just use the one color, I had to test out a few more in a larger aspect, but actually I ended up loving that original one that I used the most, and that's my final one. I grabbed my computer graphics clear film here by Grafix as well, and this is what I used to print my lyrics from the song on top of. So I went into an Adobe product. If you don't have Adobe, I used InDesign to do this. If you don't have that, you can use different free products. You can use Microsoft Word, you can use Google Docs, and just type out whatever lyrics, whatever quote, whatever song you want, and then print it out 4 times across for your card friends. Next, I flipped over the film to sprinkle the white on the back to look like snow and or stars. I just wanted to quickly insert here while I'm working on this. If you don't have a computer or a printer and can't print out a verse like this, Grafix also has a clear Dura-Lar film that you could easily draw, stamp, or stencil on top for a similar look. Super easy process here. I actually used a couple different sides of paintbrushes to get different sizes of the sprinkles, and then I also watered it down a little bit towards the end to get some lighter, more clear white. I don't know that it really was effective, but some of the dots were a little bit more clear than the others. If you have any questions on this process, be sure to leave them below. I'd be happy to answer it. Sometimes it's hard to squeeze all of the information in on these voiceovers, so if I forgot something or if you have questions about the process, I am more than happy to help you. This card is so much fun to create, and I know that you're going to want to create them too. So I set that aside to dry for a little bit. And once it was dry, I grabbed my paper trimmer to trim my card fronts here in their 8. The paper itself is 8.5 by 11, so each of these are trimmed to fit the front of a card, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I also trimmed my actual cards, which are the white cardstock, and then I trimmed my marbly Starry Night background to fit that exact same size as well. You can use a bone folder to make your folds a little bit more crisp. There's other things you can use like a spoon or a side of a ruler. And then my next process was to layer these up, which is where the project kind of went wrong. I did so much troubleshooting and thinking to figure out how I was going to make this card ahead of time. I didn't think about the fact that once I added the brad to the front of my card, you would see it underneath my layers. You're going to see in just a minute, I put it through that clear computer film and then the matte Dura-Lar, and you can see my little tails for my brad there. I put it on top of my white, and I just didn't like that. So now in my head I'm thinking, what am I going to do next? I decided to just put the brad all the way through inside of the card, which I typically don't like to do, to allow that the material, or I can't think of the correct word, the hardware, I guess, to show on the inside of the card. But I was kind of like, oh, what do I do? So I added that in, and I didn't really like that either. It didn't feel super secure because I wanted to be able to secure this down with some Artist-tac as well, and it just wasn't working as well. So I decided to troubleshoot and figure out what to do next. So because I didn't like the look of that, I decided just to cut the card front completely off the back and layer it onto another card. I grabbed this darker navy cardstock, cut it in the same direction as I did for the white to cover up those grommets, to cover up those brads and make them a little bit more secure and give it more of a finished look. I actually ended up liking this better, which is really cool. Even though it didn't work how I'd planned, the navy really helps those colors on that Dura-Lar to pop. Then I grabbed my Artist-tac to stick the card front down on top of it to add the adhesive. Artist-tac is really cool. It's a whole bunch of little tiny dots, which is going to provide 100% like full coverage adhesive to stick that card front to my card. I decided to put the card down first instead of the card front with my saying and then matte Dura-Lar because I didn't want to get little extra sticky stuff on any of that material. Then I simply stuck it down onto that card. Now because I did this out of order and in a funny way, my card front and that card back didn't exactly fit, and so I just trimmed off the edges. I have a whole bunch more of these to make to send to family and friends, so what I'm going to actually do is cut all of these at the same time so they'll be the exact same shapes, same size, so there isn't any hangover. So now my final step is to add my little gold stars on the front. I hand painted several of them. I also splattered some of them, and then I decided I needed like an in-between size, and so in just a second you'll see that I flipped my paintbrush over and used the bottom of it to add some larger dots in specific spots as well. I didn't want to rely on, splattering, getting too much, and I wanted a larger shape, so that back of the paintbrush worked perfectly for some larger dots. I'm not sure that you can see it on screen, but oh my goodness, you guys, this card turned out amazing. I never expected that the combo of that matte Dura-Lar, the clear computer graphics, and then the mediums that I chose, that acrylic ink, the printer, and then the splatters and the gold, all came together, and it looks like I actually epoxied the front of this card. You can kind of see it there, but it looks so like expensive and really cool. Your friends and family will be completely amazed if you send a card like this and wonder how you did it. I think this would be really neat like as a New Year's Day card too, and put like just simply Happy New Year's on it, or use something like Let It Snow, Walking in a Winter Wonderland. I live in Central Texas and we don't see a lot of snow, so like a snowverse isn't necessarily as appropriate for me, but this background with the stars and the splatters of white would blend itself really well to like a snowy verse, a snowy Christmas carol as well, or a New Year's carol. Change the colors up. I also thought you could use some red and green and like do a Christmas tree or a Christmas saying on the front. I think the opportunities for this technique in making a card for the holidays or even a birthday are limitless. It looks so cool, and the matte Dura-Lar and then the computer graphics to allow you to personalize it just makes this card really neat. I love how you can lift it up because of those brads and see the different layers. I hope that this encourages you to make your own holiday, Christmas, or whatever cards this year using the computer graphics, the matte Dura-Lar, and the amazing Artist-tac to stick it all together. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this Starry Night card come together, and maybe you could make it I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas instead, because I know I am. Happy holidays!